For millennia, it has been a symbol of power, divinity, and enduring value. It has driven empires to conquest, sparked mass migrations across continents, and formed the very bedrock of the global economy. This is the story of gold. Our journey begins not in a king's treasury, but in the shimmering sands of ancient riverbeds. Gold, in its raw elemental form, was likely one of the first metals to captivate our ancestors. Its radiant luster and resistance to tarnish set it apart from the dull stones and perishable materials of the prehistoric world. Traces of gold have been found in caves dating back 40,000 years, a silent testament to its early discovery. But it was in the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia and the sun-drenched lands of ancient Egypt that gold truly began to weave its spell on human civilization. Around 3000 BC, the ancient Egyptians were already masters of goldsmithing. For them, gold was not mere decoration. It was the very flesh of the gods, particularly the sun god Ra. Its eternal, unchanging nature mirrored their concept of immortality. This divine association meant that gold was central to their religious and funerary practices. The most breathtaking example, of course, is the solid gold death mask of the boy king Tutankhamun, a treasure that continues to mesmerize the world. But beyond the pharaoh's tomb, gold adorned the statues of deities in temples and was fashioned into intricate jewelry for the elite, a tangible connection to the divine. In Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, gold was a potent symbol of wealth and power. The ruling class and religious authorities held a monopoly on this precious metal, using it to display their high standing. While Mesopotamia lacked its own gold deposits, its merchants established extensive trade networks, sourcing the coveted metal from regions like Egypt. As we move into the classical world, the Greeks also held gold in high esteem, associating it with their pantheon of gods and heroes. Homer's epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, are replete with references to gold as a marker of nobility and divine favor. While silver was the primary metal for coinage in classical Greece, gold coins were minted, especially in times of great wealth or after significant conquests, such as those of Alexander the Great. Greek artisans, inheriting techniques from their Egyptian and Mesopotamian predecessors, became master goldsmiths, creating stunning jewelry and ceremonial objects. But it was the Romans who truly harnessed the economic power of gold. While they were not the first to use gold coins, they were the first to make them a widespread currency across their vast empire. The Roman aureus, a gold coin, became a standard for trade and commerce throughout the Mediterranean world. The Romans were also pioneers in gold extraction, developing sophisticated hydraulic mining techniques to exploit the rich deposits in Spain and other conquered territories. Gold funded the legions, paid for massive infrastructure projects, and fueled the insatiable Roman appetite for luxury goods. The empire's insatiable demand for gold drove its expansion and shaped its economic policies for centuries. The fall of Rome ushered in a period of fragmentation in Europe, but gold's allure did not diminish. In the Byzantine Empire, the gold solidus became the dominant coin in international trade for centuries. During the Middle Ages, gold played a crucial role in the economies of European kingdoms. The Venetian ducat and the Florentine florin, both gold coins, became standard currencies in a resurgent European trade network. The quest for gold was also a primary driver of the age of exploration. The tales of fabulous golden cities in the New World like El Dorado fueled the ambitions of European monarchs and conquistadors. While many of these legends proved to be just that, the vast quantities of gold and silver plundered from the Aztec and Inca empires had a profound and often devastating impact on the indigenous populations, while simultaneously flooding Europe with newfound wealth. This influx of precious metals from the Americas would reshape the global economy, fueling inflation and financing the wars and artistic achievements of the Renaissance. But the story of gold is not just one of empires and economies. It is also a story of ordinary people caught in the grip of an extraordinary fever. The 19th century witnessed a series of gold rushes that would transform societies and landscapes around the world. The first major gold rush in the United States began not in the West, but in the hills of North Carolina in the late 1790s. This was followed by a significant strike in Georgia in the 1820s. However, it was the discovery of gold at Sutter Mill in California in 1848 that ignited a global phenomenon. The news of gold in California spread like wildfire, and within a year, tens of thousands of 49ers had descended upon the region, hoping to strike it rich. They came from across the United States and from as far away as Europe, Latin America, and China. This massive influx of people transformed California from a sparsely populated territory into a bustling frontier. San Francisco, once a sleepy port town, exploded into a thriving metropolis almost overnight. Life in the mining camps was harsh and often lawless. Miners lived in makeshift tents and shanties, enduring grueling labor, poor sanitation, and the constant threat of disease. For every prospector who struck a rich vein, countless others found only hardship and disappointment. Yet the dream of instant wealth was a powerful lure, and the gold rush continued to draw people westward. The California gold rush had a profound and lasting impact on the United States. It accelerated the settlement of the West, fueled economic growth, and played a key role in California's admission to the Union as a state in 1850. However, it also had a dark side. The influx of miners led to the displacement and violent suppression of Native American populations, whose lands were overrun and whose traditional way of life was shattered. The California gold rush also spurred technological innovation in mining. Early prospectors relied on simple tools like pans and sluice boxes to separate gold from river sediment. But as the easily accessible placer gold was exhausted, miners developed more sophisticated techniques. Hydraulic mining, which used high-pressure water jets to wash away entire hillsides, was incredibly effective, but also environmentally devastating, causing widespread erosion and water pollution. Hard rock mining, which involved tunneling deep into the earth to extract gold from quartz veins, required heavy machinery and significant capital investment. The California gold rush was not an isolated event. In 1851, the discovery of gold in Australia sparked a series of rushes that would transform that continent as well. The Australian gold rushes led to a massive increase in population, with immigrants arriving from all over the world. This influx of people and wealth fueled the development of cities like Melbourne and Sydney, and played a crucial role in shaping Australia's national identity. In South Africa, the discovery of the world's largest gold deposit in the Witwatersrand region in 1886 triggered another massive gold rush. The Witwatersrand gold rush led to the founding of Johannesburg and had profound social and political consequences, contributing to tensions between the British and the Boers that would ultimately erupt in the Second Boer War. And in the frozen north, the Klondike gold rush of the late 1900s captured the world's imagination. The journey to the Klondike was incredibly arduous, with prospectors facing treacherous mountain passes, extreme cold, and the constant threat of starvation. Of the 100,000 who set out for the Klondike, only about 30,000 made it, and of those, only a handful found significant wealth. The Klondike gold rush was a testament to the enduring power of gold to drive humans to the very limits of their endurance. As the 19th century drew to a close, the era of the great gold rushes began to wane. But gold's influence on the world was far from over. In fact, it was about to enter a new and even more significant chapter, the age of the gold standard. The idea of linking the value of a currency to a specific amount of gold was not new. Great Britain had been on a de facto gold standard since the early 18th century. However, it was in the latter half of the 19th century that the international gold standard truly took hold. By the 1870s, many of the world's major economies had adopted the gold standard, creating a system of fixed exchange rates. Under the classical gold standard, which lasted from the 1870s until the outbreak of World War I, a country's currency was directly convertible to gold at a fixed price. This system was believed to provide a stable and predictable economic environment, facilitating international trade and investment. The supply of money was tied to the amount of gold a country held in its reserves, which in theory limited the ability of governments to print money and cause inflation. However, the gold standard was not without its drawbacks. It could be inflexible, making it difficult for governments to respond to economic downturns. A country experiencing a recession might need to increase its money supply to stimulate the economy, but under the gold standard, this was not possible without acquiring more gold. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 effectively suspended the classical gold standard. Belligerent nations needed to finance their war efforts, and they did so by printing money, severing the link between their currencies and gold. After the war, there were attempts to re-establish the gold standard, but the global economic landscape had been fundamentally